The Deep Stone Crypt weapons are back with brand new perks, and you can craft them now. So what are the roles you should be looking out for? So I want to go over all their roles and give you my thoughts on what their potential GOT roles could be. Obviously, there's a lot of different roles that you may be into, but just give you a general idea of what's good. Now, I'm pretty much always going to say in these first two columns, go with whatever you want to, unless there are some exceptions. So starting off with the trusty scout rifle, again, these two columns, go with what you enjoy. But then the first column, we have killing wind, under pressure, reconstruction, surplus, pugilist, perpetual motion, and rapid hit. Then in the second column, we have redirection, opening shot, high impact reserves, wellspring, incandescent, swashbuckler, and focus fury. So there's honestly a lot of good perks on this scout rifle for both PvE and PvP. This is going to be one of the rapid frame scout rifles, so it's automatically going to be full auto. And these are honestly some of the best scout rifles in the game. Now for PvE specifically, you have things like reconstruction, which is really good. Pugilist is pretty good to get your melee back. Perpetual motion's not bad, and rapid hit is also really good. Then in the second column, you have things like high impact reserves, which is not the greatest, but it definitely is okay. Then you have wellspring, which is pretty good, incandescent, which is really good, swashbuckler, and focus fury is not too bad if you do pair it right. So the main things that are sticking out to me for PvE are definitely things like rapid hit and incandescent. This is just going to be your go-to weapon that just, you get a bunch of headshots, you get a bunch of stats, and you can just blow people up with it. You know, rapid hit swashbuckler is also not a bad option if you want a damage increase. Swashbuckler pugilist, that's going to play heavy into that melee ability. Even pugilist incandescent's nice, because if incandescent does kill people, it will proc pugilist and you get a bunch of melee energy. Now, for more fun roles, things like reconstruction and focus fury, you get that magazine up, you're going to easily proc focus fury, and this could be a very good champion killer weapon. And then even just taking perpetual motion, because you're going to be moving a lot, is also going to be a great option. But I definitely would recommend just doing rapid hit or reconstruction. But if you like perpetual motion that much, that is also a great option you can take. Now for PvP, killing wind's not a bad option, but you don't need range a lot on scout rifles in my opinion. But getting that handling increase would be good. Under pressure is not the worst, but I probably would recommend taking something else. Surplus is a great option if you do play around your abilities being off cooldown. And then even the other ones down here, pugilist, perpetual motion, rapid hit is also not even that bad. Opening shot's a great perk, wellspring's okay, swashbuckler's okay, but I think the main one of this column is going to be opening shot. So you go with things like rapid hit, opening shot to have a really steady scout rifle. You get a bunch of headshots. That first shot is pretty much always going to hit. You get a bunch of benefits. Surplus opening shot's also really good. Even reconstruction is not terrible, but I would definitely recommend always taking something else. I think if I had to choose what I would want, it would definitely be a rapid hit, opening shot. Rapid hit on just a gun that's shooting 260 rounds per minute. That is a precision gun anyway. You're going to be able to stack that a lot very fast and get a lot of benefits out of it. And then again, if you don't know what to take, perpetual motion is just always a great option for PvP as well. But that is the trusty. Moving on to the heritage, which is probably what I'm most excited for, and I think going to be the best Deep Stone Crypt weapon you can craft. Now in the first columns, again, go with whatever you want if you want more range handling, but in this column, I would highly recommend running Assault Mag, because this does increase your rounds per minute about 5. So you see, we do buff our rounds per minute to 70, which is going to be very good because you can shoot just a little bit faster, which will make a difference in some situations. Now in the first column, we have hipfire grip, reconstruction, auto-loading holster, slot shot, threat detector, pugilist, and demolitionist. Then the second column, we have killing wind, recombination, snapshot, moving target, focus fury, swashbuckler, and offhand strike. So we can go and tell there's going to be some fun roles for PvP with this one. PvE, there's really only one main role I would recommend going for. I guess kind of two, but reconstruction is definitely going to be your best go-to option. This is going to overfill that magazine, and you can get a bunch of shots in your slug shotgun. Reconstruction, and then pairing that with focus fury is going to be one of, if not the best boss damage shotguns in the game right now. I'm not too sure, but I don't think any other slug shotgun can actually out damage reconstruction and focus fury, and this is just going to be a great DPS tool if you need to use a special weapon for that. On top of that, since it is already a slug, it already does pretty much one-shot a lot of enemies, and just always having that extra magazine is going to be helpful as well. Now there are fun rolls on here too, like things like pugilist, swashbuckler is really good. You even have all-loading holster, which isn't a terrible option. You can get all these shots out, swap off of it, come back and shoot some more. I could see an argument for all-loading being better if there was something like Vorpal in this right column, but unfortunately there isn't. The only thing that comes close to being an okay damage perk is definitely recombination, but that is only going to affect it for one shot. So I'm pretty sure if you're going for damage, definitely go reconstruction and focus fury. Now for PvP, there's actually a lot of cool options for this. You have hipfire grip, which is honestly not that bad of a perk on slug shotguns. You have slot shot, which is always a great perk on shotguns. It reloads it and you get a little extra range. Threat detector is also another great option because you get more handling when people are close by, which is where you're using a shotgun in the first place. Killing Wind is a great option. You kill an enemy and now you're gonna get some more range. Snapshot's not that bad of an option. Moving Target's also pretty good. Swashbuckler's okay. And then you also have a new perk called Offhanded Strike. So when you get Final Blows, it's actually going to increase your range, stability, and accuracy when firing from the hip. So Offhanded Strike and Hipfire Grip, pairing those together, this thing's probably going to be a laser beam firing from the hip. I'm not exactly sure how on earth this is going to perform, but that definitely would be a fun role to go for. A tried and true role is definitely going to be something like Slot Shot, Killing Wind. It's kind of like a mini Chaperone. You get a kill, you're going to get more range. It's really good. I have the non-crafted version of this and I absolutely love it. If you don't want to play into Killing Wind, you want more of a consistency perk and not have to focus on getting kills, Snapshot's a great option, so you can just aim down sight faster. You want to do that with a slug anyway for the most part, so you can get that precision shot. Moving Target's also a really good option as well. And then also, again, Threat Detector is going to give you that swap speed. So anything like this would be really good. I think my go-to role probably would be Slot Shot, Snapshot, just to make it really easy to aim down sight and get that precision kill. But that is the heritage. Let's move on to the posterity. Now, this is another sought after weapon, but honestly, I don't think this is going to get used as much as everyone thought it was going to get used because the Oculus SMG exists. So in these first columns, again, always go with what makes you feel comfortable. But then we have Rapid Hit, Surplus, Reconstruction, Killing Wind, Vault Shot, Wall Spring, and Perfect Float. Then we also have Rampage, Opening Shot, Redirection, Frenzy, Focus Fury, Gut Shot Straight, and Pugilist. So it actually does have a lot of great perks in this. Rapid Hit's obviously very good for PvE. Surplus isn't terrible. Reconstruction's also really good. Vault Shot is probably what most people are going to go for because Vault Shot is one of, if not the most broken perk in the entire game right now for PvE. And even Wall Spring's not even that bad. Now in the second column, you have things like Rampage, which is good for getting a damage increase. Frenzy's also really good. You're going to get a bunch of reload speed and a damage increase as well. And then you also have Pugilist, get some melee energy back. So as for a fun role, like Reconstruction, Focus Fury, kind of like Heritage, you know, you can get some like champion killing going off. Definitely would not recommend that. Rapid Hit's also going to be a good option, but again, like I said, most people are going for Volt Shot, and you're either probably going to pair that with Rampage or Frenzy. I honestly would go with Frenzy. I know you don't get as much of a damage increase with Rampage, but the reason I would go with Frenzy is as you do get somewhat of a damage increase, but the main thing is you do get that 50 reload speed, and 50 reload speed is going to be extremely nice to proc Volt Shot because you need to reload after you get a kill. With Rampage, you're going to be stacking the guns damage up, and you don't really need to stack the Volt Shot damage up because it already kills everything in the game. So I think just having that little extra damage plus all those other added benefits of handling and reload is going to make this gun feel way better, and you can always just keep that Volt Shot going off over and over. Now the Oculus SMG having Feed and Frenzy and Volt Shot, and being that it's just an SMG, is probably going to be the go-to, but I think what this does have going for it over that is the fact that it does have its origin trait, Bray Inheritance. So dealing damage generates a small amount of ability energy. This origin trait is very clearly better than the Oculus SMG. The Oculus one just gives you some ammo back when you break a shield. This is going to give you a small amount of your ability energy every time you deal damage. So it's kind of acting like Wellspring in a way, but you don't have to take Wellspring. But pairing that with Wellspring also would be a pretty fun option. Now for PvP, this is a 180, but Rapid Hit will be pretty good on it. Surplus, you know, always a good PvP perk. Killing Wind's also relatively nice. Wellspring can work for you. I mean, Volt Shot also can work for you, but your main contender is definitely going to be Surplus and Rapid Hit. Then Opening Shot in the second column is really good. Rampage is honestly not terrible for 180. I think it can 3-shot if I'm right after you get one Rampage stack, so that could be really fun. And I'm pretty sure if you can get Frenzy to proc as well, it will for sure be able to 3-tap Guardians. Now I'm not exactly sure the numbers on Gut Shot Straight, but maybe that could be potentially pretty fun with this hand cannon if you get like 4 body shot somebody with it. But I think the main go-to role people are gonna do is probably either Opening Shot or Rampage, depending on if they want to play 6s or, you know, 3v3, and then probably either Rapid Hit or Surplus. But that is the posterity. Let's move on to the Bequest. Now, the Bequest is an interesting sword because when it came out, no one really ever cared about it because Dark Drinker was so popular. But now with that kind of not being in the meta as much anymore, I think people might actually use the sword a little bit more because this actually has the highest base impact of any sword in the game. Most of them are set at 60, but this one is special and sits at 70. So in these first 2 columns, I'm actually going to make the exception. You pretty much should always go with Jagged Edge and Swordmaster's Guard. That's going to give you the most damage, and then also it's going to give you more cooldown rate for your power attack. Now in the first column, we do have Energy Transfer, Tireless Blade, Relentless Strike, Thresh, Wellspring, Duelist Trance, and Unrelenting. Then we also have On Guard, Surrounded, Assassin's Blade, Chain Reaction, Demolishness, Vorpal, and One for All. So honestly, a lot of good perks here. You have Relentless Strikes to get some of your ammo back. Tireless Blades also gotta help you get some of that ammo back. Thresh is also honestly a great option for this as well, which I will get into in a second. Wellspring's not even that bad. Duelist Trance is also really good. This will let you get more charge rate when you actually kill an enemy, and pairing that with Swordmaster's Guard is going to be really nice. Unrelenting, also a pretty great option if you're, sorting enemies a lot anyway. You're going to get some health back. On guards, an okay-ish perk. I don't think it's the greatest sword perk. Surround is pretty good. Assassin's Blade, pair it with Thresh, is a very great option for doing, things like Legend Lost sectors. You can just pull your sword out, easily get kills with this. This is going to boost your movement speed and damage, and Thresh is going to let you get your super really fast, and you're going to be able to just pop your super at the end boss and just insta-kill it, and you can speed run things like that. This perk synergy is already used a little bit in the game, and I definitely would not sleep on it. Chain Reaction is also relatively good for just doing some ad clear. Vorpal is a very good damage option, and One for All is kind of weird in my opinion, but you definitely can make it work. So I think the go-to is probably going to be Vorpal and Relentless Strikes for most people. It's really simple. It just does a lot of damage. Just sword up boss like crazy, get your ammo back, you're doing some extra damage. It's really, really good. Surrounded is going to be nice if you could play into it, since they actually did buff Surrounded to basically make it Surrounded spec. And even taking something like Duelist Trance, if you want to try to get as many power attacks off as much as possible, that could be really, really good. But again, I think the most part, Relentless Strikes and Vorpal is just going to be the most easiest and consistent way to go. Now for PvP, it is a sword. You can kind of just run whatever you want to. Assassin's Blade is probably going to be your best option, being the fact that you get that increased movement speed. And then, I mean, if you want to take something like Unrelenting, get some health back if you're sorting a lot of enemies. It's a sword in PvP. You just roll whatever you want on it. But that is Bequest. Now let's move on to Succession. Succession was a very, very good sniper. It's definitely one of probably the most used snipers in the game for PvE. It is super good. It is in the kinetic slot, so it does a little bit more damage than your energy counterparts. And the fact that pretty much you should always run energy primary at this point for things like Incandescent Volt Shot. This is going to pair really well with that. Now, this is going to be one of those where I make an exception for the first column, because we're going to be taking other perks that benefit this. So Extended Mag and Tactical Mag are going to be great options for this, because this is going to allow you to actually proc things like Reconstruction and get more ammo in it. If you take Extended Mag and a Backup Mag, you're going to put 5 rounds in the magazine, which will be double with Reconstruction, which means you're going to have 10 shots in the gun. Now, if you want to take something like Tac Mag, you can also do that, and that'll get you to just 8 shots in the gun. Or if you want to take Extended Mag with something like a Major Spec or a Boss Spec on it, that means you can also have 8 shots with that extra damage as well. It just all depends on how you want to play around with the gun, but I definitely would recommend taking a mag increase perk in this column. Now in the first column, we have Moving Target, No Distractions, Lead from Gold, Reconstruction, as we've already went over, Firmly Planted, Shot Swap, and Demolitionist. Then we have Snapshot, Osmosis, Recombination, Vorpal, Focus Fury, Firing Line, and Box Breathing. So in PvE, the main perks for this first column is definitely Lead from Gold, Reconstruction. Reconstruction is a no-brainer. This is pretty much what you're always going to want to take. It is extremely good for this weapon. You get so many shots in it, and you never have to reload the gun at all. Now in the second column, you do have things like Vorpal, which is probably going to be the go-to perk for most people. Focus Fury is not a bad option, but the thing I don't like about Focus Fury on this weapon is the fact that if you're going to be doing DPS with the sniper rifle, you might as well use a rapid fire frame, because they inherently do more DPS. This is more of a GM weapon for just taking out majors from across the map, any tankier targets, and that's why I think Vorpal is always going to be the better pairing. Same kind of goes with Firing Line, because this is typically more of a DPS perk. You don't have to use it for DPS. If your team just stays stuck together all the time, you will get that 20% precision damage increase, which is nice, but I honestly would just always recommend taking Vorpal, because it's 15% at all times, and you don't have to actually worry about, Firing Line not being procced. Box Breathing is an okay option. You're going to get that bonus damage if you aim down sight for a little bit, but it's so unfun to use. Again, I pretty much would just always recommend taking Vorpal, because the amount of time it takes to get Box Breathing up, you can already go and just shoot 2 shots of Vorpal. So in this specific case, I would definitely recommend going Extended Mag with the Backup Mag, so you have 10 shots and a huge damage increase on here. Now for PvP, you have Moving Target, No Distractions, Firmly Planted, even Shot Swap's not terrible, because you can get that swap speed if you get final blows with it. And then in the second column, you have Snapshot, and that's pretty much it. There's really nothing else that I would recommend taking. So Moving Target, Snapshot, great option for PvP. Snapshot, No Distractions obviously pairs really well together. You aim down sight, so you can get that reduced flinch. Firmly Planted is a very fun option on a sniper rifle. You can just kind of sit in the back of the map if you want to and get those extra bonuses. But I think most people are going to go with Moving Target, Snapshot. The synergy of these two perks together, you get more straight speed, aim down sight faster, and if you put a lot of handling on the gun, you're just going to have a very fun PvP option. I do like this more for PvE though, but that is the Succession. And finally, let's go into the Commemoration. Commemoration is honestly probably one of the best LMGs in the game. People used to run this a lot, and it's really good for both PvE and PvP. So in the first column, we have Surplus, Reconstruction, 4 times the Charm, Adaptive Munitions, Dragonfly, Well-Rounded, and Subsistence. In the second column, we have Unrelenting, Rampage, Focus Fury, Firing Line, Repulsor Brace, Killing Tally, and Redirection. So there's a lot of directions, no pun intended, that you can actually go with this gun. Reconstruction is very, very fun on this. It's going to double that magazine over time. You get so much ammo in this, and if you take something like Extended Mag, that is 146 rounds, if I did the math correctly, just by letting this perk proc. Now, since it is a huge magazine, it will take a long time for that to actually get there, which I do think could mean there is a better perk option in this slot if you're using what this gun is intended for. 4 times the Charm we'll honestly get to in a second, because I think that's pretty fun. Dragonfly is good for ad clear, but I think Subsistence in this first column is going to be really good. If you take Extended Mag with Subsistence, you're never going to have to reload this thing at all if you are just using it for ad clear. And then you pair that with something like Rampage, you can always keep that damage up. But I think the fun option for this, and we have never had an LMG with this yet, and that is with Killing Tally and Subsistence. So Killing Tally means you're going to get more damage, and then if you reload or stow the gun, it goes away. So this is actually also going to increase your magazine size by 2 if you do enhance it, which is really, really cool. So that will help out with the build a little bit. But the main thing is, since you never are going to have to reload the gun with Subsistence being procced all the time and Extended Mag helping you keep that magazine up, you're always going to be able to have this Killing Tally up, and you just never have to worry about this gun. You swap to it, you start shooting, you get a damage increase, you never reload, you just keep it forever, and it is just very, very easy, very, very user-friendly, and I am very excited to craft this role. I think it's going to be very good, because most of the time people use machine guns or LMGs, whatever you want to call them, for ad clear. Now, if we don't want to use it for ad clear, this is the other perk I want to talk about, and that is 4 times the Charm and Firing Line. Now, I don't know the testing on this. Obviously, machine guns are not the best for DPS, but with Firing Line being proc, you're getting that extra precision damage. It's a void weapon, so it's going to be relatively easy to get void wells with things like, you know, Vortex Grenade and stuff. You can proc Phantomite with Firing Line. 4 times the Charm is, I assume, gonna let you have almost infinite ammo in this thing. Like, it has a 73 round mag with Extended Mag. I don't think you're ever gonna be reloading this thing. It potentially might even let you shoot all your reserves if it keeps procking. And with Firing Line giving that extra damage, I don't know, I feel like this might could actually be fun. I definitely am excited to see somebody do the testing on this, because if this somehow manages to become the DPS meta, which I don't think it personally will, I don't know, that could be really, really fun. But I think most people are going to go for that Subsistence, Killing Tally, or even Rampage just for ad clear on this machine gun. Now, for PvP, Surplus is going to be a great option. You're going to be able to get that increased handling and stability, which is really, really nice. And honestly, out of all the other perks, I think that is the only one I could even recommend taking, because the other ones are just kind of whatever. Now, in the second column, Unrelenting is a pretty good option if you're going to be killing multiple enemies, which that's normally what you do with heavy anyway. You know, you can proc some health regeneration if you need it. Now, the other perks that you could use are things like Rampage. You can get a damage increase to help out with your next kill. Killing Tally, same thing. And I honestly probably just recommend going with something like Rampage just to get that damage perk, and you could just be able to slay a bunch of enemies out in PvP. But that's going to do it all for me. Let me know what your favorite gun is from Keystone Crypt. You're going to be farming it. You're excited to craft some of these. Again, I'm probably most excited for the Heritage. I think Posterity is going to be pretty fun. I just don't know if I'm ever going to use it over the Achilles SMG. But again, let me know what you all think. But if you guys enjoyed and learned anything new, consider subscribing and drop a like and turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.